What is up, bros? I'm Josh here. In today's video, we are going over the Tier 8 USN cruiser, the Wichita. Now, just keep in mind, this is currently work in progress, so all of these stats are subject to change, although I don't think too much will be changed sending this ship forward. Now, one of the main ships I will compare it to is the other Tier 8 USN cruiser, the Baltimore, because both of these ships are very similar and play basically identical on that heavy, quote-unquote, heavy cruiser playstyle. And when we compare it, this is the ship I'll compare it to the most. So the Wichita Tier 8. Tier 8 is a pretty big tier, especially because of a lot of rank battles are played there. Just a lot of the game is played at Tier 8. So this is going to have a lot of competition, so it's going to need something to kind of make it worthwhile, especially being a premium ship. Diving into the hit points, and then we'll check out some gameplay as well after. So hit points, 37,000, almost 38,000, 37.9. That's pretty competitive. What you're going to end up be doing, like the play style of the ship is going to be the kind of, I would say, a bit more campy. Now it is heavy cruiser, quote unquote heavy cruiser. I say that with quotes. So you can, I guess, brawl a little bit more than you can having that big old USN 203s. You will be able to do some damage, but we'll show some gameplay of that not quite working too much, but overall you are going to be able to kind of get into those islands and use those USN arcs. So the health pool is actually pretty solid. No heal though on this ship, so what you see is what you get. The armor profile is very similar to the Baltimore, so 27mm plating, very identical, but comparing it to the Baltimore, as you can see, the Baltimore is much higher in the water, showing all of that. But one thing you have to be very careful of is this plating right here, the 38mm plating on the side. Now, most of the time you will either be hiding behind an island or have some kind of cover, or basically be bow in if really need be. I didn't see my guns get knocked out too much, but I'm going to be playing this ship more on stream. So this is something to really worry about, is that 38mm plating, taking a couple shells, definitely from the side, maybe just peeking over an island. You could easily get your guns knocked out because there's little to no protection there. So the Baltimore, you don't really get that as much with 95mm plating. So really, everything is almost comparable. 27mm plating, 152 Citadel protection, basically the same thing with a little lack of plating right there, but the Citadel right there, the plating. So still the same in the front, the 203s. Overall, though, armor is very similar. Just the big standout is that main battery mount armor being so thin on the sides. But again, you're going to be sitting lower in the water. You're not as tall, so that is going to work in your favor, really playing the ship overall. Main battery, almost identical to the Baltimore. 203s, 10-second reload, and a 14% fire chance. You get a 16% fire chance on the Baltimore. This is pretty good, and the main thing is using both HE and AP when it comes to this ship, and the AP absolutely wrecks. You'll see me in the game footage we're going to show be shooting some HE, and then me just saying screw it, switching AP, and then just absolutely start chunking. I probably would have had a much higher damage game going forward. AA on the ship is actually pretty good. Oh, also main battery, 15.8 kilometers on that range. So if you've ever played USN, you know, anything that's super far out, you're going to have a tough time actually hitting that because of the trajectory on the shells. AA defense, pretty good. You're not going to be quite as high as the Baltimore. The Baltimore is going to have about 1.5 times as much AA, so you are going to be a more stealthy, smaller, lower setting ship, but you are going to be a little lacking when it comes to AA just compared to it. You're still USN, so your damage is pretty solid. So this is with AFT and the AA module. You're rocking about 75 DPS at AA DPS at 7.2 kilometers, which is okay, and then you're going to be rocking a little over 100 at 5.1. You're going to be looking at almost double that when it comes to the Baltimore. So the Baltimore is a bit more of a no-fly zone compared, but this one can still definitely knock a few planes out of the sky. Maneuverability, you are a small little ship when it comes to this, much smaller than the Baltimore, so maximum speed is a little bit faster, turning radius 680, and rudder shift of 7.6. One of the main standouts of the ship is its super low detection of 8.7 kilometers, one of the lowest at this tier. Comparing that to the Baltimore, 9.7. So you have over a kilometer buffer when it comes to spotting advantage. So this thing is extremely good to mirror let's say a destroyer, and just kind of cover them a little bit, because on top of that you do have radar as well, but you can't stealth radar. So when it comes to using radar, 8.49, which is fine. Baltimore Baltimore is going to be that that 9 kilometers, so you have a little bit more range in the Baltimore, but the higher detection as well. So Wichita, 8.4, we see that range on the Atlanta for this tier, so a little bit shorter, but your detection is so low anyway, it can be very effective when need be, because you can get up to, I guess, a bit more of the front line when it comes to that. So having this ship be in the right spot can be massive for not only support, but also aggressive plays. So I really enjoyed that a lot. So the upgrades I used throughout this were main battery mod 1. I used the upgraded defensive fire mod. If you don't have that, something just like damage control or propulsion is fantastic, especially because you don't want to lose propulsion. But I tend to run damage control system mod 1. I just had the defensive AA, so we chucked it on there. Again, the AA module 2. And then for USN cruisers, I really like propulsion mod 2, because a lot of the time you're going to basically get into a spot, especially using this low detection, getting into a spot and then staying there. So avoiding, if you need to get going as fast as possible, this is great. So that acceleration is fantastic. And of course, concealment. I wouldn't run anything else, especially on a cruiser like this. And then we're running AA module, radar in the bonus, and then we are running John Doe. So we are using the expert loader and the expert marksmanship. Of course, concealment AFT. Very basic with superintendent, so getting an extra radar and everything. Let's dive into some game footage and show how the Wichita plays and how effective it can be if it's in the right spot. So here we are in game with the Wichita, and on a map that's actually pretty tough to play for USN cruisers, just because there's not that much cover. But I do remember have that really low detection. So getting into a position where I can then support from multiple angles is what I'm trying to focus on. Sadly, the only place to really do that is from the A cap. So not really much we can do. I hate going to the A cap, but one thing is, with this lofty shell and with this kind of setup to get into a position, I can get to that cap and then shoot over the mountains and really start getting some damage in, because that's really what you want to do. You want to use the strengths of this ship, which is its low detection and its ability to then get into a spot and then lob shells over without being spotted. That's where you're going to really start working. And sad to see an HE7 coming in from a big old Yamato to my left, but that's what we have these days. But anyways, getting the Wichita into a spot where you can start farming and not get exploded, because you have those really flat walls when it comes to this ship, and you just have to be extremely careful. Now, there was a situation where I was bow tanking a game versus a Lion, the tier 9 Royal Navy battleship, and he put a triple sit right into the front of my nose. So that 27mm, although these are supposed to be tankier ships, quote unquote tankier ships, you're gonna have a bit of a trouble, really tanking too much. The Des Moines back in the day used to be known as a relatively tanky ship, and there's just not much you can do with this ship. And I think that the Des Moines over time has kind of lost, I guess, a little bit of its tankiness. At least it feels like that to me. Like, I definitely, especially when I'm playing my battleships, I want to be seeing that bow and DM. So our Buffalo wanted to give them a little bit of a head start in points, so he's going to go right on to ACAP and feed them a little bit of damage. But watch the fire percent and the fire chance now, and then we'll look back at it later in the game. So here we go. We got the tier 9 Buffalo pushing right in, and same with the Yamato, who was shooting HE. So we stick with HE most of this game, but we really start showing off the AP later because the Amagi rep 1 fire. So what do we want to do? We want to get sticky fires on that. 14% fire chance is pretty solid, but we're going to look at the alpha damage as well. The big USN 203s tend to be absolutely awesome with that alpha damage, and everyone kind of talks about, the AP, and the AP is amazing, but really, the HE is actually kind of underrated when it comes to how much damage and fire it can do. Every 10 seconds, this is without adrenaline rush, every 10 seconds we're going to be basically getting full HE pens, and already with just 2 fires we're up to almost 30k, but 7 extremely accurate this ship as well, which is awesome. But again, as you can see right here, we're using that island to break line of sight on all those ships. I guess that's a good part and a bad part, or one of the good parts about, good torque on that Cleveland, a good part about the detection and the range only being 15 some kilometers is that you have the ability of getting stuff like the Ibuki that's way out on the other line to not actually detect you. So we'll keep working on this, get these kills, and then see what we do. We are bottom tiered on this map, so kind of sucks, but it's not the worst. But again, 9 full pens, 9 out of 9 actually, because it's 3 sets of 3, so that's pretty awesome. And then figuring that we get into this, so this is almost going perfect for us at the start. I don't like going this map because what this side of the map tends to turtle, and what I mean by that is you tend to get stuck here because of the dividing map, and I think a lot of people don't realize that when they go at ACAP on this. So I don't like to go here because what happens is you end up getting stuck there. Because it takes so long. One destroyer can hold you from leaving both ways, and then you basically end up there, and there's no way of getting through that without having to go through one of those points. But so we're gonna basically try to clean up these 3 ships, and then hopefully, I was hoping that the Kagero and the Gearing would, or the Yamato and the Gearing would kill the Kagero, but our Yamato wanted to. I don't want to spoil it, but we'll see how the Yamato plays this. But I was hoping that the Gearing would go and take out the Kagero. It seems to be the right play, but he's going to chill and smoke and farm in Edinburgh. So, anyways, we're gonna push this way. We're gonna use those big 203s. This Monarch put a good shot into this Ibuki, but I want to clean up this side because you want to take the shiny things away, especially from your big bad battleship. So we want to get the Yamato's guns into the fight, which they kind of really aren't right now because they're focused on a Kagero. So the faster we can do that, the faster we can get those big guns in, because we're starting to lose some ships, although we're relatively even right now. We killed the Gearing. We've lost the Buffalo and the Cleveland, so 2 radar ships. They've lost an Amagi and a Cleveland. So it's pretty even. I would say we even have a bit of an advantage because we've killed one of their tier 8, they're the tier 10 destroyers. So that's really good. And again, the 203s on this ship is just fantastic. He's going to get a little bit out of this salvo, so those are going to bounce. Any normal 203s would bounce there. But he's going to give us a nice little broadside to finish off the shot right here. And that pen damage against the broadside of Ibuki is just going to be GG easy. So, took that out. Trying to get the shinies away. 1 shiny down. And we'll see a bit of the Mexican standoff. And let me know in the comments below if you would have played this a little differently when it came to the Yamato's play. So, now, as I said, this is kind of working out perfectly for us in the fact that it's working out perfectly in the way that we're clearing out this side, and we're gonna have basically that mountain range that's on ACAP to shoot over because of the of how the guns work. So that's really good for us. And if we can just sit on that side, we can farm them because we have the CB to spot, and 2 destroyers are also there. We have the Gearing and the Shima still alive late game. So Kagero right there. And so one thing I wouldn't do if you are spotted in a Yamato versus a Kagero is round the corner and feed him 70k damage. So can't expect too much, I guess, out of the HE firing Yamato with 100k life. Not the best play, so we tried to get the shinies away from him, but he instead wanted to go down to one of the shinies. A bit of a bummer. We ended up getting the kill on the Kagero anyway, but we traded the Yamato for it. Not the best. But anyways, we're in a really good spot now. So I hate being on this side of the map, but we're still in a really good spot because, one, their entire team, as you can see, besides this Alabama right here and this Edinburgh, I'm going to leave the Edinburgh to the Monarch, they have to push into me, and so this is a spot where I'm going to be able to shoot dark, and they're going to push into me, and I can just start basically farming them. 1 kill so far, almost 60k damage, not too bad. But we're in a really good spot to just kind of hold down and be this force that they have to push into. And with that HE and everything like that, it's going to be really tough for them to be very effective at all when it comes to kind of pushing in. My aim's terrible right here, so that's a bit of a bummer. But again, we're watching that HE chance. 2 fires on the first 2 salvos, or the first 2 of 3 or something like that. And so nonsense. So I don't know. Obviously, this is just bad rules. This is just bad luck. But we got into a spot. Especially, we're gonna watch this Yamato. This is floating Citadel confirmed. We got into a spot where this Yamato was forced to repair, and we put in a ton of salvos and no fire. So obviously, just a little bit of bad luck there. You'll see it at the end of the game where we get our good luck. But yeah, this is what I'm talking about right now. This is the kind of situation you're going to be in with the Wichita most of the times, where you can get into a spot and it's all about location. Getting into that spot where you can just do damage and and can't not really be seen as long as you have spotters. We have the 2 DDs that are north. We got to help with this this buffalo that just went dark, but he'll have spots most of the time. And now we can just start farming this Yamato. But if we can take out this cab as well, that'd be fantastic. At least put in some damage so we can help that. Neptune took down the Edinburgh, which is great. So that's awesome. And they took the other cab, so that's not very good. But still, we're in a really good spot. It's going to be hard for them to get angles on us. And still trying to get into the spot where we can kill the radar ship, focus the radar ship, and start farming extra damage. Cab is going to be the easy kill. Everything else is going to be a little tough. Our Neptune played pretty solidly, but then he was a bit overextended. I was a little worried here, actually. But, all right, let's just watch this play on the Yamato. So let's just watch how many hits we actually do on this guy without setting a fire. This was a super bummer to me. Now, we're not going to hit every shell here, but it just kind of kept adding up, and just not delivered the chance that we wanted when it comes to this ship. So now he wants me to come off from behind the island. LOL, not a chance, not a chance. So main targets for us right now, Kaba and the Buffalo. Reason being, Kaba is super low, last destroyer, and then the Buffalo. So Buffalo goes down, good shot by our Monarch, complimented him. And now we are just in a great spot to just start farming. And this game we didn't have AFT at the time, but you can still see the damage or the A in close range. So that's pretty solid. But this is perfect right here. This is actually the perfect situation. But six hits right here, no fire. You know, we're probably at 10 already with no fire. We actually get a little too close to the island, so we start clipping a bit too much. You know, 3 more hits, no fire. The 14% fire chance. Where were you? Where were you on this? Because he ends up taking a torp right there, so obviously he's going to be flooding because from a Shimakaze. But we just get so unlucky when it comes to this. And in the end, I should have just straight up. I should have just gone AP. I 100% should have gone AP. But when you force a fire, especially on a ship like the Yamato, you want to be able to just, you know, get those fires burning, get them down, and then just start burning them to the ground using those fires against. But I think we probably hit this guy with 40 shells, 50 shells, something like that, and not a single fire. So a bit feels bad, man. Still good damage though, but man, I should have gone, and you'll see the damage I'll do with AP when I finally switch to it. We would have just absolutely been chunking him if we would have gone AP on this. We would have probably rocked 5-6 case owls and that much of a broadside. So right here you see now remember we don't have AFT, so we don't have that little bit extra range, but we still shredded a decent amount of planes when it came in there for just that little bit of range. So we would have had, again, at 7 kilometers, would have had just about 75 DPS, and that would have been able to knock out a little bit extra planes. I don't even know if we would have even got hit. Those last 3 we probably could have been able to take down. But just trying to hold this down and trying to watch where the cab is. But we are low, but we have a massive advantage when it comes to this game because we have 2 DDs still. So they just need to hit a couple hits. And as you see, our Shima's playing it correctly. He's going way wide. And that's fantastic. But I have 2 battleships pushing down on me. And I go, screw it. I'm not going to get a fire on that guy. Feels bad, man. Let's just focus on AP. And the first salvo with AP was just this Hail Mary. Like, this is what I should have been doing all game. Because, boom, 7,100 on the broadside Alabama. I should have just been doing that all game. Popped it up. Focus on him right here. Now this one isn't as good. But imagine how much damage we would have done if we just would have stuck with AP on that broadside Yamato, even at that range. But we'll just keep working that. This is just that USN. This is that USN AP that you know and love. 8,100. Man, we could have even killed that Yamato potentially. So here we go. Quote unquote bow tanking. More like bow ouching. You know, not going to be able to really bounce too much when it comes to AP. And we can just continue to just work on that. But look at that AP. Just absolutely chunking. Absolute unit. So plays right now is we saw the Kaba going south, and to me right now this looks like our gearing is stuck into the corner, and we need to get around. And I'm looking at that we have AA coming back up in 45 seconds. This Kaba I know is extremely low, So we're going to rotate south, use the islands to block us from the Yamato and the Bismarck. And the Shima takes a cap, and luckily their 2 battleships are way out of position. So that's awesome. Yes, they got the kill, but in the end, it ended up getting them the loss because although you are pushing that guy into the corner, you really can't get too much. Luckily, our Gearing got the kill, and we're gonna push around this corner and surprise this Kaba. I mean, I was located, so I'm surprised this Kaba really pushed like this. But not much you can really do. 400 life. He wasn't even focusing on where I was, so down he goes, which is awesome. And I need to not get murdered by this Yamato. I know the Yamato's a pretty good shot. So if I can just close this down, stay dark. As you see, I shut off my AA for a quick second, but I basically need to kill this CV. Our Shima's gonna get the other cap. He'll probably be able to win it himself, but if I can just help this guy kill this, especially knock down a couple planes, that'll just be fantastic. But the Yamato seemed to hit me with like 1 shell every time, so it definitely was a bit of a butt clencher. But as you saw, 3 fires that entire game on 150 shells, and then of course we get 1 right at the end. We needed him on that Yamato, but in the end we get him on the CV. So we want to get those fires though. Guys asking AP, and the reason I'm shooting HE is to stop the planes from going off, and we want to get as much range as we can from the Yamato. So if anybody has the legendary module, you know how accurate that can be even at range. So I want to sail away, let the Shima cap. He's going to cap C cap and then start rolling B, and then his planes will end up actually being out of. But I'm trying 1, not to die, so getting range on the Yamato, and 2, keep this guy on fire and help him burn him down. Because if we do that, then we basically lock in the victory. And then I can kind of turn and use my low detection. Now, I could have gone dark here. I definitely could have gone dark here. But, I mean, that's not cool, right? You need to get the extra kill. You're trying to make a YouTube video here. So, being a bit greedy, for sure. But we're watching the shells when they come in, and that's what you can see. Basically zoomed out, continuing to shimmy shank a little bit, and as soon as this guy dies anyway, I'm going to go dark because the Yamato has no salvo. So there we go. Extremely accurate, stealthy, all the things you really want in a cruiser. Not super tanky, but you know, you're stealthy, good damage, fun playstyle. You have some radar backed up, and boom, there we go. Looking in the Yamato, see if you have any more shells in the sky, and we are good. So the rest of this game is just me going to B cap, capping it out, and doing that. But overall, look at the earnings here. Over 1 million in credits, where we run a ton of credit XP to level up this captain a little bit. Almost 150k damage, a ton of hits, but only the 6 fires. So I think it was just overall an unlucky match. Some citadels, and boy, when we switched over to that AP, you can see how much I was chunking those battleships for 7k, 8k salvos every 10 seconds. That's absolutely brutal, absolutely brutal. So you know, definitely focus on that USN AP. But overall, I like this ship. Something I could see this ship changing over time is maybe increasing the detection a little bit. Increasing the detection a little bit because it seems low. It seems very low to me. 8.7 over a kilometer on the Baltimore. I could see them bumping that up a little bit, but you know, stealthy cruiser, you know, it's fun. This ship is definitely fun. Good guns, good detection, fun playstyle. I think in the end, the ship will be pretty close to what this is. It is still work in progress though, guys. But anyways, I like the Wichita. Gets my thumbs up. Compared to the Baltimore, which I think is decent, I think this is just overall more fun. It's a bit more of like the North Carolina, Alabama kind of setup, where the Alabama is kind of like the sporty, fun version of a already pretty solid ship. You know, I think that of course, North Carolina is better than the Baltimore at this tier, but overall, really fun. I enjoyed it, and overall, just a good ship to play. But anyways, still work in progress, guys, so they could change, maybe some small tweaks, but I think it'll be pretty quick, or pretty similar to what we saw here. Anyways, that's it for me, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this preview of the Wichita, the Tier 8 USN Cruiser. Remember, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.